There is a consensus that there is a need for extensive discussions on how to address the ever-changing workforce and to explore the different pathways to close the gap. According to the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report, developing and enhancing human skills and capabilities through education, learning, and meaningful work are key drivers of economic success, of individual well-being, and societal cohesion. Identified areas to take into account the rapid disruptions of technology, the effects of the pandemic on the future of work, and the impact on society and the economy. The intention underpinning this session is to gain a deeper sense of the impact of the disruptions, to explore multiple avenues to address the identified gaps, ensure that solutions proposed contribute to equitable access and participation of all, to identify opportunities, barriers, and alternative pathways to address the diverse range of needs. The COVID-19 pandemic has been a catalyst for unprecedented social and economic change since its discovery in late 2019. It has disrupted travel, communications, and economic activity, and thrown lives and livelihoods into uncertainty and danger. New innovations, prospects, and opportunities have emerged alongside these challenges, and together they present the possibility of a complex new era in human development, one where the race for digital and technological innovation must occur alongside the arrest of ecological decline and expansion of societal protections for those most at risk of redundancy, economic precarity, and impoverishment. I'm joined today with a panel of esteemed colleagues who have extensive experience in various fields relating to the future of work. With us today are formidable academics, youth employment proponents, and the founder of a company on the cutting edge of the gig economy. I am joined by Fernando Buarque, the head of the Computational Intelligence Research Group and senior associate professor at the University of Pernambuco in Brazil. I'm also joined by the esteemed Professor Jianming Gong, Deputy Vice Chancellor at Nanjing Tech University in the People's Republic of China. I'm also joined by Colin Blackwell, the founder of Enablecode, a software company focused on improving opportunities for disabled programmers. Our speakers will provide a quick overview on what the future of work looks like and its impact on society and the economy as an introduction. So I'm going to request Professor Fernando, and then I will request Professor Gong and Professor Blackwell, Mr. Blackwell, to give us an opening remarks on what the future of work looks like and its impact on society and the economy. So I will request that you make your remarks in 3 minutes. Fernando?
Good morning for the ones that are in this corner of the world. So thank you very much, Professor Marwala, for the kind invitation. I think the topic is very important because for sure there will be lots of change in the future ahead. As a matter of fact, we are already experiencing lots of change. But before I convey my humble opinions on the matter, I would like to point out that the world is experiencing another revolution. We cannot overlook this. So the name is revolution because lots of change will happen, and they are already happening. And the fact that these particular revolution out of 4 that we many people assume humankind had is a very tricky one, because it challenges the very core human ability of thinking, and therefore this will pose a direct threat to humans working in jobs that require intellect. Yesterday, at the opening of the General Assembly of the United Nations, Secretary General Guterres produced a brilliant speech. Obviously, he was very concerned, as we all think we should do, with the climate change and the problems related to the environment. But I think his words, that are fantastic, by the way, can be used for the future of labor. And I would like also to mention that I think he said yesterday that we have to act now, and I agree very much with him, not only on the environment issues, but also on the changes we need to carry out regarding education of people for this absolutely different world that will be very shortly. Society will experience a huge change. I'm not a social scientist, but I'm connected with education for a long time. And I perceive the big change in the profile of the students, in the demands from industry. And somehow I'm very worried with academia, because we might not be so fast to accommodate the changes. But in summary, in this short introduction, I think we have to bear in mind that we push the limit of our society in terms of not only the environment, but the pressure we are posing on young people that are joining the market. The universities in general are somehow slow, and we should do a little bit more on that front. I think we have to work not only on the technical aspects of the education, just to keep up with the new challenges, but also with and I would say primarily with the values and principles of the new professionals. It is very important that they are equipped both technically but personally with the elements that will make them functional and balanced. This is very important, because people can function in this new world, but my worry is that they might not be happy as an individual. So just to wrap up, Professor Marwala, I would say that academia plays an important role in this equation, and I might say something later on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fernando. I am going to request Professor Gong Jianming to also make some opening remarks.
Okay. Hello, everyone, professors. Thank you, Professor Marwala, for inviting me to this panel discussion. I'm working in Nanjing Tech University. Let me introduce Nanjing Tech briefly. So Nanjing Tech University is located in the beautiful and historic city, Jiangsu province of China. Nanjing Tech has a history 120 years, and its ranking is generally a top 3% of Chinese universities. We have over 35,000 students, more than 300 faculty members, 91 undergraduate programs covering chemistry, material science, biology, engineering, environment, management, and art. 5 disciplines of Nanjing Tech have entered ESI top 1%. And chemistry has entered the top 0.1% of ESI. Maybe material science will enter the 0.1% of ESI next month. As entrepreneur universities in China, we encourage our students to prepare themselves for the future challenges. It's essential for us to predict what the future work looks like and what kind of basic knowledge and skills the future employers should have. Based on prediction, we can adjust our curriculum. Therefore, this panel provides a valuable opportunity for me to learn the thoughts from everyone here. And it's also a great pleasure for me to join. Okay, come to back the topic raised by Professor Marwala. I think the future work might be very different, and some characteristics are gradually emerging. Firstly, digitalization will probably go further into the all components of our society: digital home, digital office, digital factory, digital city, and so on. Digitalization will generate the huge amount of data, based on which AI will be more powerful and will likely replace human beings in all mechanical work scenarios. Secondly, remote working might be more popular since international infrastructure will over more area and will be stable and faster enough. During pandemic time of COVID-19, many people are already working at home, and meetings like today online can easily take place virtually. Thirdly, international teamwork would be more popular when language barrier can be overcome by praise AI translate. And remote communication is also our problem. This is my opening remark. Thanks, Professor Marwala.
Thank you very much, Professor Gong. I am going to ask Colin Blackwell to also make some opening remarks.
Okay, thank you very much. So I come to it from a little bit more the private sector as an employer and observing what's required from the new economy. So as Professor Fernando said, I mean, we're in the middle of the fourth industrial revolution, and changes that would have happened anyway have suddenly been speeded up by COVID. We've had 10 years in 1 year. And as with any change, there tends to be, even after the change, a K-shaped recovery. So the people who were doing well before a crisis will do even better. And unfortunately, as always, the people who suffer most from a crisis or any change are those who are the most vulnerable. But there's also a flip side to this, where if everything goes up in the air and all of the rules change, that also gives opportunity for people who hadn't otherwise had opportunity before to go into the new economy. So, for example, in the gig economy, for doing technology work, someone maybe who didn't have the mobility, the money, or the opportunity to go to university before can go straight into that kind of work because the learning is an entirely different experience. So when we're employing people for the gig economy, the selection process is really, can they do that task and do they have a track record of doing that task? And it's a purely, absolutely globalized market. We don't actually ask candidates, have they got a university degree? So the changes that are happening is computers are getting better at being computers. Artificial intelligence, they can do loads of things now, anything to do with process, computation, basically the boring stuff, and let them do it as well. But what is now needed is humans need to be more human. They need those human skills. It's often called 21st century skills or soft skills. I call them survival skills because there's nothing soft about losing one's job. And what does this look like? So it's not digital skills. A lot of people assume that because it's a digital advance, people need digital skills. That's not the case. If you think of how you interact with a computer or an artificial intelligence these days, like Alexa or Siri, it's a natural language interface. You just talk to them. You don't need to code. That gets simpler every day. But what gets more difficult is as a human, you have to understand the empathy. What is another person talking about? The context, lateral thinking, problem solving. These are all the human skills. And these are childhood development skills as well. People call them common sense, but common sense is not common. It is learned. And if adults have missed out on those basic employability skills, it's very challenging to get them employed in the new economy. But I'll come on to that a little bit more later about some of the solutions we have. Thank you.
No. Thank you very much for that introduction. Fernando, what are the disruptions we are bracing ourselves for?
Well, that's a very challenging question. But by the way, I should have introduced my university as well. Professor Gong mentioned his university. My one is in the northeast part of Brazil, University of Pernambuco. We have around 40,000 students, and I'm based at the School of Engineering, which is 110 years old. Quite old for Brazilian standards. But anyway, back to your challenging questions, Tshilidzi. Well, I think Dr. Blackwell mentioned something very, very important, which is employability. And I think, and I agree, there is an opportunity for people who normally, let's use that word, would not be able to join university to get a job. But if you allow me to you said that you have the situation has a flip side. I would say that the flip side has another flip side, which is the long-term aspect of that. Because if somebody does not have or is exposed to the fundamentals of one particular discipline, like engineering, because those persons who will get their job in a shorter, I would say, term, they might be able to start producing stuff, but I am not necessarily convinced that in long term they will be able to create fundamental changes for society. And it might be the case, Dr. Blackwell, that they would stay, I'm not saying that, but it's a risk that they would stay in a second tier kind of job, you see, which is not a problem, because you need technicians and you need other people, but somehow this is connected with the question. So to me, the situation, I mean, the big challenge is how to balance this system that before has this huge step for you to join university, and now you can easily get the basic technical knowledge to start working. So, and I'm in this regard, normally I take the center position. I think we should have both ways, but they should not conflict to each other. But perhaps, Tshilidzi, the most challenging aspect would be to allow people that currently is in the university path to start working if they want, while they are at university, and the other ones who selected to start early without a university degree to be able to join university. Because my concern is that we are somehow subscribing to a dichotomic system, in either you are in one path or the other. So this is one major challenge for us, to make universities flexible enough to allow people to interrupt their studies, go into the market and come back, and the way around. If you select to start early at one stage in your career, university should be also prepared to accommodate this kind of student. And at the moment, I'm not seeing this as a common practice, you see, and this is really one problem that I think we should face. The other one is how to accommodate the different paces. I will explain. So you have a much fast pace in life. Technology is changing even more rapidly, whereas universities and education is lagging behind. So this is another big challenge that we should address. So how somehow to equate this different paces so that life does not get so pressurized by the changes in technology, and also that science and education can keep up with the necessary speed, but without compromising quality. So this is another challenge that I'm not sure that educational systems as a whole, not only universities, are prepared to address in the near future. And they should, by the way. And
well,
finally,
okay.
No, finally, the topic of how to be more engaged with problems of society, because I like to mention in situations like that the Declaration of the United States in the first line says that the country or the state main purpose is to endow or to allow people to be happy. Okay, and this should be somehow linked to other institutions like universities. And what I see is not necessarily that education is producing people that are happy, okay, or they are somehow they are being prepared to gain money, and all the human aspects somehow are left behind. So this is another challenge, how we accommodate this need to survival, as Dr. Blackwell mentioned, but also how we accommodate that with preservation of the environment, preservation of our mental health, which is a big issue in this pandemic.
Thank you.
Okay, so there are many challenges, Tshilidzi.
No, thank you very much, Professor Gong. Speaking of universities, what are some of the big changes that are happening at universities to prepare for the future of work?
Your question is about transformation currently being undertaken?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so I would like to talk about this simply. I think that the remote learning is becoming more popular. It is not a result of COVID-19 outbreak. You know, COVID-19 outbreak. It has already come up before pandemics, which in turn significantly promotes the remote learning. More lectures are delivered online now, and students can revisit the lecture video. The lecture are not limited by physical campus. The students can listen to lectures given by professors from other schools and even from other countries, such as we can learn from South Africa, University of Johannesburg. Yeah. However, how to initiate deep discussions are still challenging. What we are doing in Nanjing Tech is to provide more seminars and mini projects on specific topic, so students can inspired to search for materials and really digest them. We also encourage undergraduate students to participate in the real research projects of our professors. Those extensive discussion and practice with real hands cannot be replaced. Okay.
Thank you very much, Professor Gong. Colin, how is the online gig economy transforming the world of work?
Yeah, it's changing things a lot. So in the old-fashioned world, you know, everyone is working localized within strict company hierarchies and structures. Now that is really fragmented. So you have ecosystems now. So there'll be a company with a core mission, but loads of things they'll give to other people or other companies to do. And it's absolutely globalized. Once it's online, it doesn't matter where the other person is at all. So, for example, I've just had a very good piece of work done by someone in Brazil who was recommended by someone in Switzerland. And the main skill that they had was understanding what I was asking for. And language isn't necessarily a barrier either, because when someone's doing a piece of work for you online, they usually are using a translation software. So I know loads of people here in Vietnam, they don't speak a word of English, but do loads of work for, let's say, America, just using that software. So also the payment is very different. So you get a task to do and you're paid when you do it properly. So it's not payment by time, as in the old-fashioned world, but it's payment when you can do something. So the kind of work, let's say, people with disabilities here in Vietnam are doing, it's image processing, or it's the advanced form of data entry. So you're paid per task you do correctly, and there's an artificial intelligence behind it, checking algorithmically, are the people performing their tasks properly? How quickly are they doing it? So it's a combination of AI and people working, but the people's work is only paid on skills, which are human skills being demonstrated. So this is, again, where soft skills are not soft You only get paid if you can demonstrate human skills in the gig economy.
Thank you very much, Fernando. How do we reframe higher education to speak to the changing world of work?
Well, my friend, you are always challenging me with very hard questions, because for sure, I think we all agree, education has to change a lot to face all these new challenges. But the seminal change for me is to attack the attitude of the new professionals, the former students. We normally come from a very old-fashioned way to educate students, mainly conveying to them concepts, but we somehow lack. I'm not talking, obviously every generalization is bad, but in general, the ability to use the knowledge is second place, and even the attitude towards how the knowledge should be used is even less addressed by universities. So in response to your question, I think we should make this more balanced. It's not only for us to educate the students with regards of the content, I mean the knowledge, the skills, but also with the ability that they should have to translate the skills or the knowledge into deeds in the real world, and also to do that in a very upright manner. And the reason for that, as you know, Tshilidzi, I teach artificial intelligence, which is a very powerful set of tools, and that can easily be used towards evil, okay? So the students have to be aware, and they have to assume a posture to use this kind of knowledge towards the betterment of society. So that I think we should change universities' educational systems in general towards a more inquisitive posture of the professionals, the new professionals. If you are not aware, there is a Brazilian educator called Paulo Freire. He, by the way, this week is celebrated his 100th birthday. It's one of the top 3 most cited Brazilians in humanities. Basically, what he said, which is a very good answer to your question, Tshilidzi, is that it's not enough for us to teach students on the knowledge required for a task, but they should be asked to ask questions why this is necessary, this task is necessary, how this can be done in a way that does not harm other fellow humans or the environment. So Paulo Freire, although he is gone for a long time, is very much the kind of person, or his teachings are very up to date, in my opinion, towards what we need to do in academia, in educational systems in general, so that the new professionals, they are equipped with inquisitive minds. It's very much like Alexander von Humboldt in Germany, when he instituted the academia in which education and research were bonded together. Because somehow, still today, many institutions do not encourage this inquisitive kind of minds. So to be very brief here, I think the major change we should, or not necessarily a change, but the major priority we should endow in our educational systems is to equip the students with the sense of purpose, the righteous, inquisitive mind towards what or how he could be a seminal to the world.
Thank you very much, Professor Gong. How do we continue to adapt to a changing but uncertain context?
Yes, workforce demand is always changing, although with different rates. Sometimes demand is uncertain. For example, we couldn't expect 2 years ago that there would be strong demand on the online meeting. Anyway, there is also something stable in the changing process. The online meeting demand is new, but finally, its realization is still based on the same coding language, whose change rate is much low. We should have our mind open to emerging issues. The first adaptation for us is to accept a changing world with confidence of solving new problems. In response to the uncertain text, universities can strengthen cooperation, share researchers, resources and information, form education alliances on specific topics, and jointly meet challenges. For education, it is important to teach students with all means the knowledge and the skills the whole human society has gathered. At the same time, to help students to develop comprehensive study capacity. They need capacity to adapt changes in their whole career. Take Nanjing Tech University as an example. We adhere to a practical education model of Australia University. We hire industry tutors, build industry colleagues, let students participate in enterprise projects, simulate their entrepreneurship, and so on. This practical education model of entrepreneurial university, close connected with society in industry, can help students' ability acquisition keep pace with social needs. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Colin. What other shifts are we seeing in the world of work?
Yeah, I think there's, again, it's these systems of the old-fashioned companies going by the wayside. So you don't get long tenure of position so much anymore. So it used to be, somebody would go very predictable career paths, but the pace of change is speeded up like anything at the moment. So, someone could say, okay, they'd have a medical or an engineering or something career path. But typically now, people's careers will change. I think it's an average of 4 times during their lifetime. That was before COVID. I think it's now much faster again. So especially with the gig economy, people are learning things all the time. It's continuous learning. So yes, of course, a university education will set you in the right direction and give you a certain ability of thinking. But the learning now never stops. I mean, maybe that was the case before, but now it's ever more important with the ever-increasing speed of new things happening. And it's not just an incremental change that people have to deal with. These are revolutionary changes. And this is where a lot of people do actually get exited from the workforce So when digital transformation hits a job, some of the statistics we're looking at in Asia is that 20% of people, when faced with their job being revolutionarily changed, will do very well. 40% will exit that job and do something related, but probably lower in level, and 40% may well lose their job. So it's incredibly important that people do keep up with the speed of that change.
So thank you very much, Fernando. Very, very briefly, because we are running short of time, how do we begin to address the gaps that arise from the disruption of the workplace?
Well, we cannot escape, Tshilidzi, AI. So I think everybody has to be well-versed in AI technologies, no matter what kind of profession or area he's working upon, because it's a revolution. It's transversal. The second thing is universities have to open up. I think Dr. Blackwell said very well this. We have to go, or people have to bear in mind that education is a lifelong process. So educations have to be prepared to that. Also, there is a very interesting comment here on the chat that social cohesion and stability should not be forgotten, because if we do not equip the people with the right tools and mindset, we will end up with very unhappy societies. So in all, I think we should, of course, keep up with the fast pace, but should not be lured to this crazy rhythm, which is inhumane. So as a whole, I think policies from governments are very useful to guide directions and prevent overuse or abuse from companies to people. And overall, I would say that we have to have educational systems that have flexible syllabuses, and this has to start now. Normally, academia takes a long time for accommodate changes, and this is urgent. So my message here is to my fellow colleagues in academia. So open up, become more flexible and inclusive, because otherwise, if we carry on with this paradigms of having young people, the old ones are not suitable for universities, we are prone to become irrelevant. Academia can only have a place in the future if, in my opinion, embrace this new postures and values. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak up.
Thank you very much, Professor Gong. What lessons are there to be learned from the COVID-19 pandemic?
Okay, this is good questions. I think that is very important. In my opinion, the first lesson we should learn from a pandemic is the importance of cooperation and collaboration of our skills. Everyone in community should respect regulations and cooperate to follow them. Only by this way, the virus infection rates can be effectively cut down. COVID-19 is the threat to every person and every country in the planet. All people, countries should collaborate to build up the tools against the virus. For example, fast detection assays, effective vaccines, and understanding the outbreak mechanisms. No one can stand alone. Another lesson is the importance of governance responsibility. A responsible government should integrate all resources to help people against virus safely, to treat infected quickly, and cut down spread route effectively. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Gong. Colin, how do we optimize training for employment, particularly of disadvantaged youth in the online gig work marketplaces?
Okay, so this was a central question that we were looking at, because there's many times in the development community or even from governments, they're saying, well, if we give this training or education, what is the actual employment impact? It's very difficult to measure that. But what we did was we had an artificial intelligence solution to this. So we teamed up with Amazon, who run the biggest global gig marketplace called Mechanical Turk. And they have millions of jobs at any given time and millions of workers on it globally. And we asked them to just add a little bit of data to this about what training each person had done, even if it was just watching a video online for 5 minutes. And then you can correlate together their work performance, because when they're doing gig work, you can measure their performance to the keystroke. And to see the impact of the training, how quickly it could lead to income for them. So we reprogrammed the Amazon algorithm on its AI for not for the original purpose of selling things to people, but actually for disadvantaged people earning income, and then it machine learns off that. So basically, somebody we teamed up, for example, in South Africa with a big Harambee, a big charity there. So they have 1 million people on a database looking for disadvantaged youth looking for work. When they go onto the gig economy, we're tracking what education they've done, informal education even, seeing the immediate impact on their employment income, and actually using the AI to give a personalized training program to them and persuade them to do it in their own best interests. So AI, in a way, caused a problem, but AI can be the solution as well.
Yep.
No, thank you very much. There are a number of questions that have come. One, Fernando, you have already addressed it, so I'm going to direct to Professor Gong and Colin. And so this is from Jessica Lee. Greetings, panelists. This is Jessica. It is a pleasure to attend the event. Thank you very much for hosting the event. Inclusion and belonging while promoting a sense of mutual understanding are important to maintain social cohesion and stability. Can you please provide your thoughts on this? Professor Gong, if you can go first.
Okay, I think that this we should believe each other. I believe you, you believe me. We get together to overcome the difficulty.
Thank you very much, Colin.
Yeah, so I think obviously social cohesion and the bigger picture is very important. We don't want our future to be some kind of like some dystopian science fiction movie. So yes, it is very important to get all of these things right. So creating jobs and making sure people are happy, as Professor Fernando said, these aren't light matters. The whole of society and the future of the world does depend on it. I agree.
No, thank you very much. The other question that is here is how is the online gig economy transforming the world of work? Fernando?
Well, Dr. Blackwell already gave us lots of hints. It will be fundamental because it provides access to disadvantaged people, and also will create a more flexible economy, because, for example, I have currently lots of students in my undergrad program, that they are working in places, so-called, that they have never imagined that they would be doing work, like in the US, for Europe, or even Asia. And it's very good because somehow it helps the education. My worry is that they are somehow moved towards the market earlier than they should. But it's a no return move. This pandemic taught us lessons that we knew it was possible, for example, to hold conferences remotely without the need for us to move. But we never actually organized those conferences. And the work is the same. We always knew that we could work remotely. And perhaps that is the biggest change. In one hand, it will be more fair because it gives opportunities to people. But on the other hand, it could be a little bit riskier because some people could be abused in long hours work and pays that are not fair. And even for the nationals, if you live in a country that the labor hour is very high, you are going to compete with people that could be exploited with very lower rate for that job. So it's not an easy thing, but the impact is huge.
Thank you very much, Professor Gong.
Okay, yeah. I think that I invite the Professor Zhang, working in the international affairs office of Nanjing Tech, talk about this topic, these questions. Okay, yeah. So, yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm here with Professor Gong. We discussed this topic before the meeting. And I think Fernando just said very correct. And remote work provide a lot of opportunities, but it is true. We must think about how to balance the people who can remote work and who really need the work face to face. And for example, the remote teaching, and we have a lot of teachers are giving lectures online, but we also need a lot of assistants, for example, technicians in the laboratory to help the students. But in general, I think this technical advance finally can bring a lot of benefit, but we need to carefully to control the negative effects. And I think that may need a long time to discuss, and it's not the topic for today. Thank you.
No,
thank you for the opportunity.
No, thank you very much. I think we are now almost done with this session. So I'm going to ask each one of you just to give the closing, just a closing remark, very, very short. Colin?
Yes, so there's great change happening. It's both a danger and an opportunity, but understanding what it is will help us all.
Thank you very much. Professor Gong?
Thanks, Professor Marwala. Let us join is panel discussions. So we know the topic is very important. The Nanjing Tech University will do the best to for the learn from COVID-19 pandemics. Okay.
Thank you very much, Fernando.
Well, two things very quickly. The first one is a word of caution. Probably you all are experiencing this crazy pace because, for example, I was recently in a situation of participating in 2 meetings at the same time, or even 3 different activities, and you don't have interval from one to the other. For example, when I finish here, I already have another one, no gap whatsoever. So this is very dangerous in the long run to me. And the final remark, I would like to ask everybody here to pay attention to the opening speech by the Secretary General Guterres yesterday. His words are inspirational, and all of us should listen very carefully what he is telling, because he is informative, but also is provocative. We have to do something quickly in line with what he said yesterday. Collaboration is crucial, and we have to act now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for joining this invaluable session today, which was organized by the World Bank in collaboration with the University of Johannesburg, of which I am a Vice Chancellor, and also of the United Nations Development Organization. Although vastly different institutions, we are both driven by these vast paradigm shifts and positioning ourselves at the fore of the 4th Industrial Revolution. In particular, the University of Johannesburg is leading the charge in Africa and is continuously reimagining the future and adapting to this context. Thank you to our speakers present for their invaluable insights, Professor Gong, Professor Fernando, Buarque, and Colin Blackwell. The economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic has most acutely been felt in the sphere of unemployment and the rapid digitization of processes and operations. Our awareness of the 4th Industrial Revolution currently underway has meant that these changes were, to some extent, inevitable, but the speed and breadth at which they needed to occur as a result of the pandemic could not be anticipated. The speakers present today have spoken to this shift, and the ultimate takeaway is that the future, although at times seemingly uncertain, seems promising. I thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.